Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here. As Dr. O said, I'm Beth Burkard. I'm with the Orange County Environmental Protection Division. I have a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, and I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Florida. And I've been with EPD for about 10 years, but in this role for just over 2 years. I want to say usually I present in like hotel ballrooms and conference centers, so this is really nice. I like being here. This is a beautiful setting. Okay. So brownfields, what are they? Why do they matter? Even louder? Okay. Is this better? Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'd like to share with you guys about brownfields, why they're important, and what we can do with them to help our community grow. So I'll like to tell you about the purpose of brownfields, why Orange County government has a program, a few case studies, and the impact on the development community. Is anybody here a property developer? Are we mostly just community interest people? Yeah, okay, good. So let's pretend that I have a company and we have grown and we need our own space. I have a choice. This, I can't see what you guys are looking at. This fenced off, kind of icky looking property, or this beautiful green property that's on the outskirts of town. Okay. So the property on the left here is a former warehouse. It's been torn down. You can see a bunch of debris. There's used tires. Who knows what was going on inside that fenced area? The area on the right is pristine and never been used for anything other than maybe cattle grazing. Okay. So a brownfield area is a contiguous area of one or more brownfield sites, some of which may or may not be contaminated, and which has been designated by a local government by a resolution. Such areas include portions or all of a community, all. So the property on the left here is a former warehouse. It's been torn down. You can see a bunch of debris. There's used tires. Who knows what was going on inside that fenced area? The area on the right is pristine and never been used for anything other than maybe cattle grazing. Okay. So a brownfield area is a contiguous area of one or more brownfield sites, some of which may or may not be contaminated, and which has been designated by a local government by a resolution. Such areas include portions or all of a community, all or portions of community redevelopment areas, enterprise zones, empowerment zones, and other such economically designated deprived communities and areas, or EPA, like US EPA designated brownfield pilot projects. Whereas a brownfield site is real property, the expansion, redevelopment, or reuse of which may be complicated by actual or perceived environmental contamination. So a brownfield area can be a whole neighborhood, a whole bunch of parcels. A brownfield site is, a defined area within that area, a defined set of land inside that area, where redevelopment is challenged by an environmental condition. And that can be real or perceived. So the history. In the 1990s, US EPA began working with states and local governments to fund brownfields redevelopment assessment and cleanups via grants and technical assistance. In 1997, the Florida legislature passed the Florida Brownfields Redevelopment Act and codified the procedure for how it should be done in Florida. And currently, Orange County Environmental Protection Division assists applicants navigating the process for sites in unincorporated Orange County. So if somebody has a property in City of Apopka, City of Altamont Springs, I'm not involved, just the unincorporated areas. Okay. So this is a photo from the Holden Heights neighborhood, which is a brownfield area. A whole group of parcels are all defined as an area. And it's a site where they were housing all sorts of trucks and equipment, and there was potential for a lot of contamination just from the nature of what had gone on at the site. Sorry. So the Brownfields program is a tool that encourages community revitalization, supports economic development and job creation, or affordable housing or green spaces. So these areas that are currently brownfield, potential brownfield sites, you can redevelop them for if you want to use it as to get the tax credits or the financial incentives that go with this, you can develop it into something that creates jobs, a factory that will employ multiple people, affordable housing, or you can create a park out of it. So, and or other types of green spaces. But those are the most popular outcomes for this program. Sure.
Well, was a brownfield, uh, designation and Sam's Club was built on that.
Yeah,
It took a few years, but that's what Sam's Club was, created on.
nice. That's a good success story. Okay. So it's a financial tool to encourage developers to choose these parcels inside of town that may not be much to look at now, but have a lot of potential. Um, Once we do the cleanup, we can reduce the public health and environmental hazards like Dr. O was talking about. Removal of contaminated soil, prevention of anything leaching into the groundwater and then the aquifer is super important. And this is a tool to encourage developers to do that. Okay. Promotes infill and redevelopment. A lot of these sites are in neighborhoods that already have water and sewer and electricity, natural gas, bus lines for their employees to get there. So using these parcels benefits both the company for not having to spend money to develop all those infrastructure things, as well as encouraging something beneficial for the community. One of the steps in the Brownfields application process is public hearing in the neighborhood of the potential designated site, and um, the community is invited to come and give feedback on that. Okay. So this is Orange County. It's kind of a dashed line around that. We all know the shape of it. The blue areas are brownfield areas, and the green turquoise spots within that are brownfield sites. So you can see like a lot of the city of Orlando has been designated as a brownfield area, but within that, there's only, some that have been gone the next step. Oh, sorry, gone the next step to become a brownfield site. So there are two pathways to getting brownfield status. A government agency or government group can propose it. Let's say somebody finds a piece of land that could be redeveloped into a park. The government itself can make the proposal to designate that area as a brownfield area and then commit to developing it. Or a private entity can make the proposal and request to become a piece of land to become a brownfield area. So the steps that I assist applicants with, they apply for the brownfield area status. They fill out an application, explains what they plan to do with it and why they believe the site qualifies for brownfield area criteria. We go with them through the notifying the public through the newspaper and posting notice at the site that we're proposing to make this a brownfield area, and hosting the public hearing and setting the applicant up with the Board of County Commissioners to actually request the resolution. So the last step that I'm involved with is obtaining the resolution. The applicant brings it to the Board of County Commissioners. They can approve it. At that point, it becomes brownfield site or brownfield area, sorry. And then the next steps are done with DEP, which I hope Scott will tell us more about later. And then once the developer has entered into a brownfield site rehabilitation agreement or BISRA, then they can begin earning the financial incentives that have motivated them to actually pursue this. Okay. Pardon? It's a couple slides from now. I will get to it. Thank you. Okay, so this is one of our success stories. Barada ROCC, Revitalizing Orange County Communities. This is a site in unincorporated Orange County nearby Apopka. For it was used in the past for storing used tires, and those they degrade, like they themselves are waste, but they can have the potential to leach into the soil and make a mess. So it was identified as a brownfield area. It had sat empty for more than 20 years with the used tires sitting on it. So, yes, yeah. Um, and that will include my notes. I don't want to mess anything up on the thing here. When you get the slides attached to the our notes that specify how like what the property value was before and after, and what how the developer used the credits to pay for the project. This one, there's a special in the solid waste. If you're cleaning up solid waste, there's a special set of incentives as well. So they did an investigation. They found 88,000 buried tires and no groundwater contamination. Okay, this slide has the details. So it depends. Um, so tires just sit on the surface, and if they haven't degraded too much, the particles might not have gotten into the soil or leached far enough down. So um, that's one of the things they test. Um, I can't provide details on this because I wasn't involved, but I'm kind of surprised sometimes too that like my main role is doing petroleum restoration, so gas stations where tanks have leaked. Um, if the contamination is shallow enough, sometimes it never gets down to the water table. So it depends on the lithology at the site, how what type of material was spilled. Um, but yeah, sorry. Back to this. Um, So they entered into a site rehabilitation completion order in 2008. They were able to claim a voluntary tax cleanup of $40,000. And beforehand, the property value was 200,000. In 2009, they constructed a 22,000 square foot warehouse. 2018, the property was valued at 900,000. And in 2024, the assessed property value was $1.6 million. So um, this is providing meaningful jobs to the community and cleaned up a mess in an eyesore. So this is a real success story for our program. So for this one, um, because it was tires and tires mixed in with the dirt, they just excavated everything and hauled it to an appropriate waste facility.
Who said that perimeter of the extent of the damage and what the protocol is to clean it? Do you guys provide that information? Or the collective of everyone? Okay.
Okay, good. That is, yeah, definitely in DEP's hands. Okay, and then Wellington Park. This is that the same property you just mentioned? Okay, yeah. So it was a commercial nursery for decades. They used pesticides and they had non-retail petroleum storage tank for fueling their equipment at the site. So they obtained their brownfield resolution from the Orange County BCC in 2017. They did an assessment, collected groundwater and soil samples, and found that no cleanup was required, but it had qualified for brownfield as the perceived contamination that had inhibited redevelopment. So one of the advantages that developers have is a liability protection. They received sales tax refund on the construction materials for the affordable housing that they built. And if in the future they realize there is remediation that needs to be done, if there's a cleanup that does need to be done, they have access to still obtaining one of those brownfield site rehabilitation agreements with DEP. So again, before development, $1.9 million. 2017, constructed affordable housing. 2024, the assessed property value was over $8 million. And a place for people to live in in a beautiful setting.
That's the one.
Yes. So so as I mentioned, there are a couple different things you can create with a brownfield site, a business that will create jobs, affordable housing, or green spaces or parks. The Hillsborough County Environmental Protection Division over in Tampa has a pretty active, rigorous brownfields program, and you'll get these slides and they'll have the links in there. City of Orlando also has a brownfield program that really encourages development. And then this is a photo of Bonnet Springs Park in Lakeland. And it was the rail yard for Lakeland, and they redeveloped it into a really beautiful park. If anybody gets a chance to go there, it's very nice. Okay, here's the juicy part. What we can do with this financially. So if you choose to develop affordable housing, you can have a refund of the sales tax for all of the building materials. 50% voluntary cleanup tax credit and additional 25% if the property is redeveloped with affordable housing. So that's if we, talk to our environmental consultant and they say it's going to cost $100,000 to clean this area up, we can apply to the DEP and get, after it's done, half of that back. And that goes back into the money to fund the rest of the project. I think Scott can probably talk to these details a little bit better than I can. When we clean up a site, there are standards we have to get to that, depending on what the property is used for. If it's residential, it has to be very clean. If it's always ever going to be industrial, we're okay with leaving a little bit of contamination in there because no one will be like growing a garden or playing in the dirt there. So, the advantage of brownfields is you can get a risk-based cleanup criteria that is customized to what is actually done at the property. So that could be a more lenient cleanup goal than you would get through traditional cleanup. There are federal tax incentives, and that's more of you have to talk to your accountant on how the details of that one will work. Cleanup liability protection. If the state of Florida DEP has said this is cleaned up, you have that liability. The DEP said this was okay. It's clean now. If something comes up in the future. Okay. Lender liability protection and federal grants and loans are available for cleanup if applicable. That one, is anyone from NJIT tab coming to talk? Okay. So Scott will be telling us more about those details. But there are federal grants that will help you assess and plan for the cleanup. Okay. Again, I'm Beth. Here's my contact info. You'll get a copy of these slides, and I left my business card out on the table if you have any questions afterward. If you have any questions right now, please go ahead. Hi.
One that have been flooded with waste. Are they brownfield potential?
That is a really great question. I mean, like a combined sewer overflow situation? Yeah. That is a great question that I would have to look up. I don't know if anybody has tried that path. Anybody else?
County, unincorporated Orange County is in a brownfield area, residential in the brownfield side.
Yeah, so right now it's a very small amount. We What the potential is, that is a really great question. Um, there are a lot of areas that probably could be if a developer looked at it and considered it. And I think that's one of your goals here, right?
Yeah.
To figure out where those places are and how we can develop more of those, establish more of those brownfield areas, making it easier for developers to walk in and get the site agreement.
And there's so many that aren't identified.
Yes.
And that's the point, is that we've got a lot out there that are just sitting there and no one has identified them as potential. And real estate agents don't know how to handle it. They don't know what it is. They don't realize what brownfields are. And so we're going to be working with Aura and other agencies. I was there the other day and talked with them and said, let's have meetings, let's do some CEUs, and let's then get buyers and sellers and builders in here together in this big, they'll hold 250 in their new conference room, and it's beautiful, and the facility's great. Let's get you in here and train all of you. And then at the end of the meeting, bring in your listings, bring in potential buyers, and explain it so that you can all learn how to turn over these properties and clean up the cities. Let's clean some dirt.